G'day everyone. If you've landed on this video, then chances are you're going to reInvent this year, or you're still sitting on the fence and considering it, in which case I hope you do go, because I went in 24 and had an absolutely fantastic time. I learned so much, really good use of the week. So in this video, I'm going to take you through all the tips that I wish I would have known before I went, and hopefully you can maximize your trip. So I've got my reInvent hoodie on, so let's get right to it. Okay, we'll start with all the things that you need to get done before you actually go to the conference. I'll put chapters in the video so you can skip to the bits that you're interested in as well. So there's a bunch of things that you need to get done before you go. So the obvious one is buy a ticket. So log in, buy a ticket, register. That will give you a profile on your account. And there's a couple of things that you want to get done on there. Firstly, you want to upload a photo. The photos, they don't have to be professional headshots or anything like that. They just need to be a clear photo of your face. And if you look at mine, it's just me. Let me just change my camera. There you go. It's just me in the garden, so it doesn't have to be a professional headshot. And the second thing you want to do is, if you have any Amazon certifications, then there will be a spot on your profile to add your certification account ID or something like that. And what that does is it puts a checkbox on your pass. So you can see this little tick on there. That means you're certified. And what that does is that allows you to get access to the certification lounge and the certification swag. And I think there might be a few other different events that you can do because you're certified. So it's worth doing that if you're interested. The next thing we want to think about is planning the sessions that you're going to go to. Now they have an event catalog. So if you go to Learn and then Event Catalog, you'll see a page that looks like this, and you'll be very familiar with this over the next few months because they're constantly adding sessions every week. There's only 700 at the moment, but I'm pretty sure there was a few thousand by the time I went last year. So keep an eye on this page. So what you want to do between now and when you go is just keep an eye on this page and go through and find some sessions that you're interested in. And then if you hit this little heart icon here, that will add it to your calendar. I don't have a pass this year, so I can't log in and show you, but there'll be a page for a calendar and it will just put all your sessions on there. So it just helps you sort of manage what you're going to do throughout the week. You want to try and plan your sessions to the venue. So at the moment, they don't list what venues these are going to be at. That will happen closer to the time. They'll update these and they'll put the venues and times and so on. But you want to try and stay in the same venue if you can. So if you go to like a session in MGM in the morning, and then you've got half an hour break, and then you've got your next session in the Wynn, they're completely opposite ends of the strip. So you're never going to make it, and you'll spend so much time just going between them. So try and focus, if you try and group all your sessions in a single casino, or at least, do the morning in one and then over lunch move to the other one and do a different one. I would also recommend that you prefer the workshops if possible. I'm an engineer, so this is perfect for me. I like to get my hands dirty on different things and learning some new things. With the workshops, I went to 2 really good workshops, and honestly, if those were the only 2 sessions I made the whole week, it still would have been a worthwhile trip. There were 2 IoT sessions. The first session, they had Raspberry Pis on every table, and they had some action figures like dogs and cats and stuff, little plastic toys. And you went through this workshop and you built some software, IoT, you deployed it, green grass, all that stuff. And then you could actually do image recognition with the little action figures that it gave you. And then obviously that went through to Lambdas, databases and whatever they did. The second workshop I did was using the camera on your laptop to do facial recognition, so you could detect poses, when you move your head side to side and so on, and cover your face and whatever. And then they put that through Bedrock through the multimodal model, so you could do free text search. Put your hand up beside your face as a phone. You could search for man on a phone and it would give you that clip. And that was really cool to do those. And the good thing is with those workshops is because it's all hands-on, after the session ends, you can go and speak to the presenters and say, hey, that was really cool. How'd you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Get some context and so on. So definitely do those. Some of the other sessions you can go to, just be aware that some of these things are going to be on YouTube anyway. So don't spend your week watching things that are probably going to be online later anyway. So try and get your hands dirty on stuff that you can't do online. Yep, so pick your sessions. The next thing I want to talk about is try and plan for the Expo Hall. So the Expo Hall, I believe, opens, it's either on the Tuesday or it's late on the Monday. I forget when it exactly opens. And then it closes at the end of Thursday. So you haven't got all week for the Expo Hall. And if you're interested in swag, then you probably want to do that earlier in the week, because there will be heaps of people that are just going to run that gauntlet, get all the swag. And some of the smaller vendors, they're going to run out of swag. So if you are interested in that and you want to get swag, then try and do it sooner rather than later. But there's nothing that great, to be honest, t-shirts, pens and so on. Keynotes. So pretty much every day, usually in the mornings, they'll have a keynote, and they'll have that from different departments. So you might get like an AI keynote on one day, and then some other area of keynote on the other day, and then obviously you get Werner's keynote as well later in the week. When those keynotes happen, usually they'll announce some new product, and they use it as like a marketing pitch. But usually at that point, they actually release a load more sessions that they had hidden. So if they release a new product, they'll then produce a bunch of sessions or workshops and so on. So if you have any gaps on your calendar, don't worry too much, because you're always going to find something to put in those. If you do go to the keynotes, then be wary, the queues are huge, especially the main keynote with Werner Vogel's. Like, you've never seen so many people queuing up for a session. And even if you get there early and you're right at the front of the queue, the way that they let people into the hall isn't like starting at the front. They'll come at the side, so they'll fill from the front all the way to the back, and then they'll go to the next session. So even if you're early in the queue, you could end up right at the back, like we were. So honestly, just watch it online or go to one of the breakout sessions and watch it there, unless you really, really want to go and see Werner in person. Not much happens on the Friday. So you'll notice in the catalogue when they release the days, there won't be many things on the Friday. It'll only be the morning. It's usually like repeat sessions or things that, maybe a little bit more niche, a bit obscure. My understanding is that a lot of the Americans will leave on the Thursday. They'll either go to the replay event or they'll just fly home. So you'll notice that the attendance is much, much smaller on the Friday. There's no Expo Hall on the Friday. It's only the Venetian, so the other venues will be closed for reInvent. So don't plan to do much on Friday. If you want to leave on Thursday, then I don't think you'll miss much, to be honest. The only good thing about Friday is the official swag shop will do some good discounts. So some of these t-shirts I was looking at all week that were like $60-$70. I think I got one for like 25 or something on the Friday, because I just want to get rid of it. So let's move on now to where to stay. Now, if you've never been to Vegas, it's pretty huge. The strip is a couple of miles long, and you can stay wherever you want. They do have like a little map on the reInvent site, and you can see in yellow, these are where the conferences are held at the casinos, and the blue ones are some of the casinos you can stay at. You don't have to stay at these blue ones. These are just the ones that reInvent has a deal on, so you might get a better rate, but you can stay wherever you want. You could stay off strip if you wanted to. Just be wary that there's so much walking, so you want to try and stay as close up here as you can. This is where most of the action is happening. So when I went, I stayed at the Link, and I would say this was a really good experience. I was kind of put off at the start with, because I felt like I wasn't really near much. Like, you have this little strip here, there's loads of fancy restaurants and so on, but there wasn't much else close. But it turned out to be a really, really good location, just because it's so easy to get to the venues. So this is the Link here. Just above it you got Haraz, and then just below it you got Flamingo. So I would say either of those three. The reason I like staying at the Link is at the Link, at the back of the Link, near the car park and the Uber collection, there's like a little walkway that takes you up towards the monorail. So you can see it here, this little walkway here. And what you can do is you can go straight over, and that will take you into the back of Haraz. So from either of those two casinos, you can get onto this walkway. And then you've got access to the monorail. So if you want to get down to the MGM, you can just jump on this monorail and you're straight there. So that's one of your casinos already. But what I like is you can just keep walking through the tunnel, and then you'll go down some stairs into Caesar's Forum, and that's one of the venues. So there'll be a bunch of sessions in here. There's also the meals hall as well. And then you can follow this all the way along, and then all the way along here. And they don't have it on the map. I think it's a temporary bridge because it looked like it was made from scaffolding, that kind of stuff. But there's actually a connection between Venetian and Caesar's Forum somewhere around here. It just doesn't seem to be on the map. But you can basically go all the way across a little bridge, and that will bring you into the Venetian. And then you walk through the Venetian, you walk all the way around the Expo hall. There'll be these huge curtains, so you have to walk all the way around the outside. And then you get somewhere up here, and this is where the main event of Venetian is. So that's where you can get your official swag and your badge collection and all that stuff. And then I think it might be here. There's another little bridge that you can go through, and you'll come along this tunnel here. And then I think it's somewhere over here, but it breaks off, and then you cross the road over a bridge, and that brings you into the Wynn. So like I say, Stand a Link is just perfect because you can get up, you can go here, and you can literally, the whole day you'll be indoors. You'll just be going through these tunnels into different casinos. So I would highly recommend one of these two be on your list. Okay, so on the event week itself, what do we do? The first thing you need to do is go and pick up your badge. You'll have a badge a bit like this, and you can get that from the Venetian. So you'll probably come in through the front door, I guess, because you won't have a pass to get in otherwise. But if you head towards the conference center, don't worry if you get lost. There'll be heaps of Amazon people around. They all wear these like blue high-vis tops, and they'll point you in the direction of where to go. But when you come into the convention or conference center at the back, there'll be a big stand where you can go and get your pass. You just scan your barcode and they'll give you one of these passes. It's worth noting that you have to use this lanyard as well. You can't take it off and use your work lanyard or a different color lanyard. And it's because the lanyards are color coded, so the black ones are for the attendees, the presenters get like an orange color, and then I think staff get green or something like that anyway. So yeah, you have to use this lanyard. You can put badges on though if you want to. Pass as well. Some of the security people there, they get a bit funny about this. Like if you're running between venues and you're going pretty quick and your badge is flapping around and it lands that way and they can't see a photo, they might get a bit angry. So just be conscious of that, let them see it when you walk past. You can also go and get your badge from the airport, where the baggage claim is. In between the baggage claim and the exit, there's like a big stand for AWS. So you can go and get your badge from there. I landed on the Friday, so they were only just getting set up, so I couldn't do it then. But if you land on the Sunday or even the Monday morning, you can do that as well. So that's your badge. The next thing is the Events app. I don't have the app on my phone because I'm not going this year, but there is a AWS Events app you can get on the Play Store. Go and get that, log in. That'll give you your session catalog, so you can see which sessions and what you've got bookmarked and so on. It's also got maps, and the maps are very good. They're all internal maps to the conference hall. Now, if you've ever been in one of these casinos, they're designed to disorientate you and get you to go and just sit down by a slot machine. So they can be quite confusing, but these maps are really good. You can see where you are, and then you can see where the hall is and where the room is you need to get to. So it's very easy to navigate. There is also some social stuff in the app, so you can create like a profile. Now, when I went, that side of the app wasn't very good. Like your profile, you could just select a couple of preset things that you're interested in. There wasn't really a way of being able to find people that were in the same sort of industry as you, so I didn't really use it in the end. Maybe they fix that this year. So that's the Events app, so you'll be looking at that all the time. The conference itself, so I've already spoken in the before about planning all your sessions and so on, so you should have had that done already. Don't be afraid to do walk-ups as well. So at each of the rooms that you go to, there'll be 2 lines out the front where you queue up before you go in. And on one side it'll be people who have registered, and the other side it'll be walk-ups. And then what they do is they let everyone in who's registered, and then, you know, maybe I think it's 5 minutes before they start or something like that, they'll just let everyone in who's walked up if there's space. And I did heaps of walk-ups, and every time I got in. So yeah, don't be afraid to do that. They usually have plenty of capacity. And likewise with the walk-ups, don't be afraid to walk out as well. There was a few sessions I went to and I'm like, oh, this sounded pretty good, but you get 10 minutes in and it's like, this is a sales pitch, I'm not interested. So don't be afraid to just walk out and go and do something else as well. You know, try and make use of your time as you can. Next up is the Expo Hall. This thing is huge. It's like a football stadium of vendors. There's hundreds of them in there. You know, you can easily spend a day, maybe 2 days, just going around talking to everyone. So you want to, again, look at the Events App. There'll be a map, and you'll be able to see where all the different vendors are. So if you want to go and talk to like PagerDuty, for example, you know where they are. And then if you want to go and talk to, you know, Anthropic or whatever, you know where they are. And they have heaps of smaller vendors as well. They will scan your badge. So everyone you go to, as soon as you start talking to them, they'll ask if they can scan your badge. So they'll use the NFC chip on their phone, and they'll tap your badge and scan it. What they're doing is they're basically building up their sales catalog for next year of email addresses. So when you do register, another tip is to use a different email address, because otherwise you're going to get spammed so bad. So if you use Google Mail, you can do the your normal address plus, and then just put some tag after it, and that will get filtered in, and you can filter them out. So beware of that. I would say if you do go to the Expo Hall, at least go and talk to the Amazon specialists. There'll be a section in the middle of the Expo Hall, and they'll have all these different booths for all the different Amazon services. So there might be one for like Dynamo, there might be one for RDS, one for Lambda, and so on. I went with a colleague, and we had a bunch of questions that we wanted to get some real deep technical advice, and that's where you need to go. If you've ever gone through the AWS support case issue, you'll know there's like a line of people you have to get through before you get to the real specialist, and it takes so much time. Whereas here, you can just go and talk to the guy that actually worked on that service team. And that was brilliant. Just being able to speak to those people and just get that technical advice. And each of those booths, they have their own swag as well. So you might find Dynamo stickers or whatever on the Dynamo booth. So definitely go and check out those guys. They're really smart, and they're really happy to share as well. Next thing, food and health. So this was done really well, actually. So every day you get your breakfast and your lunch provided, and in each of the casinos they'll have a dedicated food hall. It's quite a big operation, so there'll just be lines of people going in, and it's just like a factory. They're just straight in, getting the food, off they go. So you don't have to queue up at all, really. It's pretty well run. It's like a buffet style. So you would go to this buffet table, and then you queue in a line, and then you go through and get all the different things you want. The food was really, really good. The venues, they're different meals every day. But yeah, I found everyone was pretty good, and there's plenty of food there too. They also have these grab and go boxes. So if you don't want to go and get a plate and sit down and have your lunch, they actually have like these pre-made boxes where you can just grab one and go and eat them somewhere else if you want to. Snack times. So they have like a morning snack and an afternoon snack, and that's not in the meal halls themselves, but that'll be actually in the venue. So for example, in the Win, it'll be in the corridors between the meeting rooms. They'll have these tables along the middle, and they'll have lots of things like cans of Pepsi and cola and cookies and that kind of stuff. So don't worry about being fed. There's plenty of stuff to eat. The next thing we can talk about is the wellness rooms. Now, I didn't really think too much about these originally, but that first day, the jet lag was hitting me pretty bad from Australia. I'm like, if I don't go and lay down somewhere, I'm just going to fall asleep right on the casino floor. So I went and found the nearest wellness room, and these rooms, they're dark rooms. They've got quiet spaces. It's usually for like when you're overstimulated and you need a bit of downtime. So I just went in there and just closed my eyes for an hour and went back out, and I was perfectly fine, ready to go. Just if you do use these, just try and be respectful. Like, they're supposed to be quiet places, right? Don't go in there and play on your phone or whatever. And be careful. People keep coming in and slamming the doors as well. Just try and be respectful with other people. But do feel free to use those. I think it's a really, really cool idea they did that. And lastly, there's a lot of walking. Like, you don't think about it before you go, but there is so much walking. And some of the staff get a bit funny as well if you sit down in the lines. If you're queuing up, they don't let you sit down, so you can't sit down up against the wall. They get a bit funny about that. So you might want to start working on those step counters every day, or make use of the standing desk. Try and get yourself ready. Let's move on to swag. Everyone loves swag, don't they? Everyone loves getting free stuff at events. So of course you get the official reInvent hoodie. These are very nice. You can get these on day one when you go and pick up your badge. Just around the corner from where you pick up your badge, there'll be the Amazon swag booth. So if you queue up there, they'll give you one of these. They also give you one of these drink bottles as well, a reInvent drink bottle. These are pretty nice metal drink bottles, very useful during the week. So go and get those. As I mentioned earlier, if you have the certification tick on your pass, then you can get into the certification lounge, and as part of that you also get some additional swag. So what they had this year was the AWS certified t-shirt, which is a pretty cool pixel art thing with all the certifications along the bottom. So go and grab one of those if you have one. They had some other swag as well, which they released later in the week. I forget when it was. I think it was like the Tuesday or the Wednesday, but they changed the swag booth, and they had a bunch of new stuff. One of those was to get these flight tags. You might not be able to see it on the camera, but they're like a canvasy sort of flight tag. You got these by filling in your AWS community builder profile. So if you don't have one of those already, then that's something else you could do before you go and set one of those up. You just need the barcode. They'll scan your barcode and they'll give you one of these. They print it off, so you have to go and get it the next day. But they're also giving out bomber jackets as well. So I had these really, really nice black bomber jackets, zip up with the Amazon logo on the side. Unfortunately, I was too late, and they ended up having none of my size in, so I had to get one way too big, and in the end I just gave it away to a team member when I got home. So it just goes to show that you need to be pretty quick on the swag stuff, because the common sizes, they get taken pretty quick. Aside from that, you've got the Expo hall itself. That will be swag central, heaps of swag there. All the usual stuff: stickers, pens, t-shirts. T-shirts are pretty good. I got half a dozen different t-shirts from different vendors. Some of them are quite nice. One of them had like a Lego, I think it was Dynatrace. They had a build your own Lego thing, so you could build your own Lego from different pieces. Another thing you can get from this was in the certification lounge, so I don't know if you can get these if you're not certified. But they have these Lego bricks, and it has reInvent 2024. And I know some people like collecting these because they stack them with all the different years. So these you get in the certification lounge. As you go in, there'll be like a wall, and on the back of the wall they'll have like these buckets of these Lego bricks. And they also have the certification stickers in there as well. These are really popular, these little certification stickers. There's one for each, so that's the certified data engineer, security, and then machine learning engineer. I've already got half a dozen of these on the back of my laptop for all the Amazon certs that I've got. These are on my to-do list, so it keeps reminding me that I need to get stuck in and get those done. They do have some pins as well. So where you go and get your badge, they'll have this booth thing with all the pins for like pronouns and stuff like that. So if you're interested in those, go and get those. I noticed that when I walked past on the Tuesday, they were pretty much gone. So you probably want to get in early if you're interested in those. I got one of the Nero spicy ones, the infinity symbol. They're pretty nice pins too, nice metal pins. So go check those out. I think that's pretty much it from the swag. Most of the stuff you'll get from the expo hall, and that just involves going around talking to people. So just talk to the booths, find out a bit about what they'll do. They'll scan your barcode and give you some flyers and maybe give you some swag as well, and off you go. The last thing I want to talk about on the week itself is some of the events you can go to. So me being in Australia, I was part of the APAC group, Asia Pacific group. So they had certain events that were targeted for APAC people. And then they have certain events for like partners and customers and so on. I didn't end up going to any of those because I just was so busy doing everything else. I didn't even consider going to those. For the social people, they do social people. I'm probably not one of those, but they do pub crawls. So if you're into that, they'll they get a mob of you together and they'll go on pub crawls and stuff. There was a fun run as well. I was going to do that, but it was way too early for me. I was too tired. Too tired after walking around all week. But they do a fun run on the Thursday morning along the strip. I think they close part of the strip down and you do a fun run. And lastly, the replay event. That's on the Thursday night. So that will be away from the strip. I think it's at the showgrounds. There'll be buses and so on. But you have to have your badge and you're not allowed to take any bags. So if you do go to that, then yeah, be careful of that. So I know we're here for work, but you should really try and make the most of your trip whilst you're here and get out and see a little bit of Vegas. So try and do a little bit of sightseeing whilst you can, especially if you've never been before. There's some pretty cool things on the strip you can go and see, like the Bellagio fountains, for example. Go and see those. They play every half an hour or so. They play some music and the fountains will go. That's pretty cool to go and see. Just seeing the Sphere as well. You might get lucky and see it out of your hotel window, but if not, there's actually a good spot that you can get some good photos from. So on the walkway between the Venetian and the Wynn, somewhere over here, you can actually get a really good view of the Sphere. So if you want to get some cool selfie photos, that's something you can do as you're walking between the two venues. Honestly, just walk around the casinos. When you finish for the day, maybe take the long route home and walk through the casinos. They're a sight in themselves. You'll see some interesting things for sure, especially if you go out after dark. Shopping on the strip can be very expensive. It's very much geared towards sort of high-end fashion and jewelry, and I'm definitely not that target market. So I can't really say anything good about the strip, to be honest, for shopping. Although there are a couple of Ross and Burlington, so if you want to go and get some cheap branded clothes, they're not too bad. But honestly, the best thing you can do is just take an Uber off the strip. There's two sets of outlet malls in Vegas. There's a north and a south. I took an Uber to the north outlet mall. I think it was like $20 or something like that. But you've got all your outlets there, be Nike, Adidas, Vans, all that kind of stuff. I was getting t-shirts for like $10 a piece, which is amazing. Like, you wouldn't get that in Australia. They're like at least $60 now for a t-shirt. So I definitely did load up, brought home a whole suitcase full of stuff to keep me going for a couple of years at least. So yeah, definitely go and check out those outlet malls. There's plenty of restaurants there as well. So even if you pay $20-25 to get there, you're going to save that anyway compared to what you'd spend on the strip. In terms of Uber Eats, you can't order Uber Eats to your room. If you do order Uber Eats or any of those things, you have to go downstairs to the rideshare pickup area. It'll be separate from the taxi area. There'll be a separate section for rideshare, so just make sure you go down there, because otherwise they'll be wondering where you are and they'll probably just drive off. And lastly, the monorail pass. So you get free access to the monorail. You just have to show your badge. You don't need a ticket or anything. There'll be someone at the gates, so you just go there and show your badge, and they'll just scan you through. That works up till 8 p.m. because some of the sessions do go on a bit later. So what you might want to do when you finish early for the day, for example, you could get the monorail down to the other end of the strip, down to MGM, and then just walk back. I did that once or twice. That was quite a good experience. Right, let's wrap this up. I've gone on for far too long. So just to finish off, I just want to list out the top three things. So if you take away anything from this video, number one, try and prioritize your workshops. You'll get so much value out of these workshops. It really will be brilliant. Number 2, don't be afraid to do walk-ups. Even if you can't book in, just walk up. Chances are you'll get in. And also don't be afraid to walk out as well. If you're not getting any value, just leave. Isn't that what Elon Musk says in meetings? If you don't get any value, just leave. Definitely apply that to these. And lastly, number 3 is talk to the experts. Don't be afraid to go and speak to those Amazon people in the Expo hall. Those guys, they're working on this stuff day in, day out. They know exactly what they're talking about. So if you've got any technical questions at all, go and speak to them. You'll get the advice straight away. Other than that, enjoy your trip, and I'm sure you'll have an absolute blast. Thanks all.